Okay, thank you, Anna, for agreeing to be part of this project, the Global Feminist Project. This interview is part of the Global Feminism Project, a multi-site international project sponsored by the University of Michigan. Our goal in undertaking these oral histories is to create and preserve conversations with women whose scholarship and/or activism has contributed to women's activism, as well as to issues that are important to women movement. We're going to spend about 1 hour talking about 5 broad topics: general background about your life and work, your reflection on your work, your thought about the relationship between feminism scholarship and activism and how you see your work in relation to these practices, your thought and insight about your work in the context of broadly conceived notion of women movement, the connection you see, if any, between your work and those of activism in other national settings. So to start, we are going to start with background about your life. As you think about where you are today, how would you see the journey that brought you to this point? That is, what are the central commitments in your life? What does your career look like? And what do you consider your most significant lifetime achievement professionally? That is part 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, very tough questions. Yeah.
So basically, it's your background of your work. Yeah.
Yes. Before I respond to your questions, I just want a little bit clarification about the scholarship you're talking about. Yeah, because I'm not the beneficiary of scholarship of Michigan. So is it okay? Is it to do something with Michigan scholarship, or
no?
What exactly, when you're talking about scholarship, what does it mean?
When we talk of scholars, you know, the women movement, and we have the academia and we have the activists. So you might really want to like focus or gear yourself toward activism and feminism. The scholars are the ones, like we say, the professors, those who connect or combine the activism within the academia, or their specialization rather within the academia. That could be one of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, about myself, my name is Anna Kulaya. Yeah, a 5th child of a widow of 7 children.
Wow. So
yeah, and the second born girl. So I'm the 5th, but the second born girl, because in our family we are 7, 3 boys ahead of me, and then my sister, and I'm the 5th one, and then I have a little sister, and then the last one is a boy. So we are 7 of us. Now, being in the middle of nowhere in the family, I think it is one of the reasons which give me my strength to become who am I today. Probably my position within the number of the children in the family, but again, the traits, because my father used always to say that I have the traits from his grandmother, because since I was a child, I used to be very, very strong within even the family. And I always tell Dad when there's something which we are not happy, I'll be the first one to tell Dad, you have done 1, 2, 3, and we are not happy about that. And most of the time, my father used to say that, and so who sent you to tell me that? Or who asked you? I said, no one asked me. But you're the one who came to tell me that. Why? I always tell him that because others, they fear about you. And then he said, what about you? Are you not scared of me? I said, no, I'm not scared of you. Why? Because you're my father. How can I get scared of you and you are my father? So because of that, we used to have, and so my father used to tell me that, so are you a lawyer of this family? Are you their advocate? Or are you a journalist? You're coming to report to me. Then I said, no, I'm not. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a lawyer, but I tell you because you have done 1, 2, 3, and we are not happy. Or sometimes, as you know, our families, because they're patriarch, when there's a kind of favoritism within the boys, I will always challenge and ask, why do you give boys this? Why do you give this kind of job and task at home while us were doing 1, 2, 3? So it was kind of, but my dad used to tell Mom, she's exactly like my mother, my grandmother. I don't know how she's going to be. So I was born in 1975. I went to primary school at Mlimani, of course, you know that. And then when I was in standard 4, my father passed away. It was a big shock to me. I was only 11 years old by then. It was a big shock. And I think also a turning point also for my life, because it was suddenly. So he died, he was sick, malaria. On Sunday, he went to the hospital in Dumanda. On Monday, he passed away, just like that. So for us, it was a sudden death and it was a big shock. And you can imagine for me, because I was very connected and very close with my father, it gave me really a hard time, because I couldn't want to believe that my father passed away. And I used to tell Mom, no, this is not fair. This is not right. Forgive me, I'll be talking with you while taking my breakfast, if that is okay with you.
No problem. And can you try to move a little bit far, because I don't see part of your face?
Aha.
Yeah.
What about here?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think also that was a turning point, because I came to realize life is too short, but also there are so many, because by then in 1986, so many people, they have their parents, because even HIV/AIDS were maybe just discovered. So even there was no even any case of HIV/AIDS. Yeah. So even for the neighborhood, the street that we were living, it was only our dad who passed away. So it was really a big shock for us. And I didn't accept that when I was that age. I remember I used to pray a lot after that. And I dedicated my life in the church, praying that God will bring back my father. Always when I go to church, I said, God, you said when children were asking for you, you do for us. Please bring back my father. Because I thought that one day my father will come back. But at the same time, I think I felt very sorry for my mother. And I was worried about her as well, because we were 7 and she was alone. And she took care of us, all of us, 7 of us. So I was looking at her, how is she going to manage us? How is she going to survive? And there was a time I thought maybe my mother will die early because of burden of taking good care of us. Because the good thing is she was also educated. My father and my mother were all educated. Both of them were working at the bank. They were both accountants. So by that time, my mother was an auditor. But having 7 children and taking care of them herself, it was really a tough time. For the first time, I remember that Christmas, we didn't have new clothes to wear. We cried a lot, especially me and my young sister. But at least for others, at least they managed. But for us, we cried a lot. That is the consequence of not having a father. And sometimes I looked at my mother. She was very strong. She didn't want to show us that maybe she's suffering or nothing is not going well. But for me, I was so much concerned. And because of that, that's why I dedicated my life to the church. So I went to school. Whenever I get time, I go to church. And I even continue to, as a Roman Catholic, to clean the altar. I don't know how to call, the stage where the priests.
The altar, yeah.
I used to clean the altar. I used also to clean even the house of the priests. But all the time I was telling God, I'm dedicating my life so that you bring back my father. So the whole year, 1986, I was praying for my father to come back. 1987, I was praying for my father to come back, of which it didn't happen. So later on, I decided now I think I have to study hard. And to be, I don't know, but I used to be someone who always take care of mom in the family. And I remember when we were, when I was in the secondary school, my brothers, you know, boys, at that time when they were teenagers, the way they were living, it's like we have a father and a mother. And for them, they were saying, our mother is working at the bank, so it's okay. And it's the same family like those who have their parents are professors, doctors, and it's normal. So most of the time, because my mommy was very open, when it is time, maybe during the holiday, then the school are opening, we are 7 of us, and she will tell us, now, Anna, you have new shoes. I bought you last time. So this time, this semester or this term, you're not going to have new shoes. You're not going to have maybe new uniform. You will use that one. I'm going to buy for maybe Maggie because she's also going to a new school, maybe a new class or new secondary school. You don't have a bag, I'll buy you know, that kind, because she has to take care of 7 of us. So we have to get things in piecemeal. And for me, I was very comfortable because I know that, okay, that's how mom can afford. We are 7 of us. And when people are complaining, no, I said, no, you will make our mom die. She's alone, we have to support her. So I started, I think, supporting women, having that kind of protection for women since I was very young, because I was looking at mom, the way she was struggling to make sure we eat, we go to school, we do everything. And because the life has changed dramatically in the way they were both mama and daddy, now I have to accept whatever I get, because what is important for me is to see my mom, to keep my mom healthy, to make sure my mom is living. And I remember there was a time my brother took a car and then she drove and then got an accident, very bad accident. And I was very mad. By then, our mom traveled by then, went to Iringa for work, and then my brother took the car and then she got an accident. I was very much mad. And I even told my sister that I wish I could be the first one in this family, because how could you give him the keys? Now you see what is happening. Now look, mommy is coming back. There is another to deal with the accident and other things, which was not necessary, because, you know, just he went to get out with his boys, other teenagers. So it was like that. So I think that kind of life also shaped me. But also I think the environment, University of Dar es Salaam, you know, primary school, and also the church, especially the Sunday school, and the time I dedicated to the church also shaped a lot in my growth as well. So even I started, I think, pursuing for, I'm going to be a lawyer as an education for my father, because he always used to say me, so you are a lawyer of this family. But also when I went to the university, I did a research on issues of human rights. I think that was my path. So it went like that. So I studied, even some of the major in the university, I took some of the human rights courses. So when I finished my university, for my education, I said, I want to work with human rights. About my life. Yeah. I can say that was initially my path. So I started working with WiLDAF after graduating at the University of Dar es Salaam. Now, I think working, because of human rights, working with women organization also, it gives me more strength. I think, I don't know, I can say more enthusiasm, because I love issues of justice. I love so much. I love when it talks issues of rights. It's in my blood. That's all I can say. So I was enjoying working. Actually, when I started at WiLDAF, one of the things that I really enjoyed is to provide legal aid for women. I remember I was very young, very teen, very little one, and I used to provide legal aid. I remember one of the days there was a lady who came for legal clinic, and then when she entered in my room, and then she said, I'm sorry, kwa Kiswahili nadhani nimekosea, and I thought I'm lost. Then I said, no, she went back in the reception, and then she said, no, the room you have instructed me to go, I think it is not the room. They said, why? So that receptionist came with her. They said, that is the lawyer. That lady said, no, she's too young to listen to me. Because she thought that what is she's going to tell me with my age, and I was very little. I tried, no. She said, no, she's too young. And because I was very passionate, she said, who told you I'm young? I'm not young. I've graduated. I'm a lawyer. And here I'm going to help you. So she was looking at me like, what? Are you okay? Are you sure? I said, yes, I am sure. Please have a seat. So I started listening to her story, and then, of course, I assisted her drafting legal documents. When she completed everything, when she won her case, she said, oh my goodness, I looked at this child. I said, no, she can't handle my case. But the way she did, very professional, and she's very strong. So she looked at me, she said, you will reach high by then. But one of the good things that I liked is when you help someone to get her rights, and then when you pursued, when she gets, and by then, another thing I came to realize, there were so many cases of inheritance, so many widows were struggling. Some of them were evicted from their family, some of them, they were even denied their children. I came to realize that maybe I'm so much privileged because in our family, in my father, they didn't do that. Partly because maybe my mom was also educated. Partly, I don't know, maybe because that's how they are, or because we are too many, they cannot bear the burden of, taking good care of us. I don't know, but, that didn't happen in our family. We had some other struggles like, balancing priorities in the family, what to have, what not to have, some kind of luxuries which we cannot maybe now, we cannot have because of the size of the family. I remember even there was a time my brother told Mom, why do you bear us 7 of us? If you could be 3 or 4, we could really enjoy it because you have a good work, but the problem is we are so many in the family. And then Mom said, okay, so you want it to be 2 or 3, okay. Now choose among you the 7 who will not be there. And everybody, we're looking at ourselves, no, or choose who you don't want to be in this family. And when you look at everyone, you say, no, we want all of us to be. So I came to realize that, okay, there are so many women issues, and there are so many struggles among women. And the good thing, by then, WiLDAF was also pioneering for the review of the Customer Law of Inheritance. Okay. And I was very passionate about that because much as it didn't happen to our family, but I was thinking like, if my mom was not maybe educated, if my mom was not strong enough to have her own income, would have been, maybe I would have been by this time, been married and have kids. Maybe I wouldn't have even go to school. So I was looking at how women are suffering. I said, no, this is the thing to pursue. So that's why I'm enjoying doing whatever we are doing in our organization. But I remember in 2004, I went to one of the a week and a very short course in Uganda. And there I came to realize, oh my goodness, maybe I am a feminist by virtue of being born, because they think they were talking issues of feminism, a little bit of feminism, but a lot of issues of women's rights. But when they were talking about feminism, I came to realize, so maybe I'm born as a feminist without even knowing, because even the family, even today, the family, in our family, they know anything you have to ask them. Even my mom, everything they have to consult that, okay, we want to do 1, 2, 3, what do you say? So it's kind of like that. Yeah, I don't know if I have explained clearly about that part. Yeah.
Yes, you have, Anna. Thank you so much. If you could say what is your lifetime achievement? Now that you have talked about the journey of your job and your career, what do you consider to be your lifetime achievement?
Okay, thank you. There is personal, me as Anna, but there is also career-wise.
Yeah, career.
So I have two, yes, I have two achievements. For my own, my personal achievement, there are a lot, I can say. There's a lot, and I'm lucky I can say I'm lucky to fall in these women's rights issues, because I think that is my path, that is where I belong. So I'm so happy, first of all, to belong to women's rights movement. I'm so happy to belong to this community of, community of justice, community of, you talk about issue of women's rights. I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy to tell you that, because if I look at the country, we always talk about issues of injustices. If you talk about issues of inequalities, if you talk issues of patriarch system, if you talk issues of stereotype, I'm lucky that my path is and will be through working with women's rights organizations, because I couldn't imagine myself working in maybe private company or working with even a firm, because if I look at myself, it would be a struggle there. Because at least working with women's rights, I got an opportunity to understand issues of stereotype, issues of injustice, issues of inequality, and also to address them. So I'm happy that, yes, having this kind of opportunity, because it began in my family, that sometimes if I don't like something, I'll just say like that, I don't like. And in Africa traditions or in Tanzania traditions, you look like you have kimbelembele. Yeah. I remember even when I was young, because so many things, sometimes I argue, there was even a time, our cousin who used to raise us used to tell me that, no, your voice is too high, it's too strong for a lady. Then I said, what, you're supposed to behave like a lady, you're supposed to behave like a, I can't, I'm not like that one. There was a time, I remember my grandmother from my mother's side was there, and my cousin, and then they were saying, you are shouting, you are yelling, your eyes, the way sometimes you talk with fingers and everything and eyes wide open, they're saying, no, this is not a lady. I said, I don't care about it being a lady. Then my grandmother said, no, my cousin said, you're not going to get married. I said, to hell. If to get married, it means that I have to not to live the way I am, to hell, but so I'm not going to get married. And then my grandmother was very worried. And then she said, you guys, stop telling her that she might not get married. Look the way she is. By then I was very young. I didn't even understand why. But I can tell you, I was the first one to get married in the family. Why? Because of that, the way I am. I remember when I was at the university, I met the guy, we were crazy, and then he competed before me, and then he said, you know what, Anna, let us get married. I said, why not? I am 21 years old. I'm at the university. Why not? Then when I went to tell my mom I want to get married, she said, why? Why now? You have to complete university. I said, no. I met this guy. I think now I'm ready for marriage. So the first person, even and the family was also shocked. This one. Everyone was, even the street, everyone was like, oh my God, what is happening? My mom thought that I'm pregnant. And then she asked my aunt, can you please, because she know one of my aunts were very close. Because they always say I'm a stubborn one. So they ask, can you ask her if she's pregnant? So my aunt came and said, okay, so I have good news that you are getting married or whatever. So I knew that she wanted to know whether I'm pregnant or not. I looked at her, I listened, then I said, okay, aunt, tell me, what do you want to know? She said, oh, no. She said, I know you want to know whether I'm pregnant or not. Is that what they have sent you to? Oh, me and you are friends. Yes, they have asked me to ask you for that. I said, okay, if you want to know about that, I'm not pregnant. I've just decided I want to get married. Because as a Christian, I don't want to have sex, to have this kind of life without being married in a proper way. So I've just decided that I want to get married. And my aunt said, okay, are you sure? I said, yes, I am. So I have to tell your mom, I said, go tell her. Actually, she can even ask herself. She doesn't have to tell you, to send you to ask you. She said, no, she's scared. I said, no, she doesn't have to. My mom was even scared, you can imagine. So the growth now, I think I was strong, but not enough if I wouldn't work within the community of women's rights. So working within the community of women's rights also enhance I think my confidence. I have that courage and confidence. I can talk to anyone. For me, it's kind of like the myth, or that kind of, you can't tell your mom, you can't tell your mother-in-law, no, it is not like that. I can tell you in a very respectable way, but I can tell you that this 1, 2, 3 is not right. Because it's like, if I'm here to protect other women, I have first of all to protect myself. So working with women's rights also give me a very good opportunity to understand myself, but also to understand the world around me and to know how to live. So that is one of the strengths. To have the kind of confidence that I have today is because of working with women's rights. But most importantly, to support women. Sometimes it gives me so much happiness when you see something is happening. It gives me so happiness when you see like you help women to access justice, or when you help women, to pursue for leadership position, when you help women to understand this kind of rights, what they can do to do any kind of transformation. There was a time, even when I go to the kitchen party, I used to tell people that, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to live you as you. But again, it gives me, I think, strong personality with my partner, my husband. I remember he used to tell me, Anna, you are a lawyer, you're working with women's rights organization. People are telling me that you are stubborn because of that. And then I asked, and do you believe that? Do you believe that? You know me when we were at the university and even now. What do you say? Yourself, I don't want to hear about people, about you. Oh, me, I think you're okay. Okay. If you think I'm okay, then me and you, we are different. So I'm happy that he's able to understand me. I'm free. I can do whatever I want. I can work whatever from morning to night. Sometimes even not within communicating with him. And then sometimes he said, Anna, you are too busy. I said, I'm very sorry. Let me come home. Oh, okay. You know what? I have 1, 2, 3 to finish, then I will come. So he understands me. He knows where not to cross the line. But having this kind of confidence, and I think because of working with women's rights organization, so it also contributed to my growth as Anna. But again, career-wise, working with women's rights organization, I can say also it gives me opportunity. It gives me a lot of exposure. I remember to start working with the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs very early. By then, and working also with strong women like Dr. Judith Odunga, Dr. Helen Kijobisimba, Mama Tabitha Siwale, if you know her, she once used to be a minister of land when they were working for reviewing of Kasama Law of Inheritance. And I was the one who to take note and everything. I was very young. And Dr. Asha Rose Megiro once was also a board of directors of women in non-governmental in Africa. So by the time when I joined, she was appointed to be a minister. And because she was also a board member of WiLDAF, they were happy that someone who was from the women movement Now she's working with the government. Their expectation as women organization, they thought that because she is going to work there, it will be very easy for them to review the law. So we had a lot of, engagement, consultative meeting with the Minister of, by then it was Community Development, Gender and Children, and Minister of Constitution and Legal Affairs. And I was very young, but going with these strong ladies to this meeting, and I was enjoying. I was getting a very little salary, but for me, what was my happiness? To work with these reputable women, very strong women, but also to access, higher level, high profile in the government. I remember there was a time when we went to the Minister of Constitution, we had a meeting with the minister by then, in 2004. And my colleague who were working at the Attorney General, they saw me, they said, Anna, where are you going? I said, we have appointment with the minister. Our minister? Yes. We have been here for a year and we haven't even go to the office. And you are going? I said, yes, this is the third time we're going there. Anna, are you a security or what? What kind of work are you doing? So I was enjoying that type of work, that because it gives me an opportunity to meet so many people while I was very young, but also to listen their argument, the way they interact with the high profile when they want to pursue for some changes. For me, I was learning, but it was, oh my goodness, oh wow, what is this? I really enjoyed that. So it also gave me academic-wide career work related to grow also. And also it built me a confidence on how to access, even if I can also seek for audience to the president without any fear, because I know I have that right and I have something to deliver, I will seek for that. And I remember even in 2020, before the election, when they announced for the accreditation, and WiLDAF we didn't get, I seek for appointment to see the director of NEC. Then I went there. So I traveled to Dodoma. When I was there, I said, I know. Then I was, convincing him why it is important for us to get the accreditation. So we had a discussion of 2 hours. And then, because he called the committee, and then they were saying, when the NEC, they've made their decision, there's no chance for appealing and anything. But I said, no, I think as a natural justice, you have the right to hear me, you have the right also to listen to me. And then the director of NEC said, so where are you from? I said, from Dar es Salaam. Which organization again? I said, WiLDAF. Apart from WiLDAF, what another work are you doing? I said, I'm not doing any other work. I'm the executive director of Women in Non-Government in Africa. You don't have any other work? I said, no. Are you sure? I said, yes, I don't have any other work. So when you get outside, my team were telling me, no, he was looking at you, the way you are talking with confidence. He thought maybe you have sent by then maybe the president to try him, because you were so confident to tell him that you need to get accreditation. There is no justifiable cause for them to, and then they said, there's some kind of gaps which you didn't attach some of the document. I asked them, so can you tell me what those document? Because if it's a matter of document, we can even submit. So he was looking at me like the confidence that I have. Why? 1 minute, Annette. Okay. Yeah, namuomba huyu akae kwa sababu naona inakata, sijajua kwa nini.
Okay.
So for career wise, it gives me the opportunity to learn, to grow. It also enhance my confidence. It gives me a lot of exposure. But again, to support women and to understand the challenges that women are facing, and my role to help, because maybe I was privileged to some extent in my life, but also I need also to support others. So there's a growth in terms of personal, but there's a huge growth in terms of career. But again, also it gives me the opportunity to meet so many potential women, not only those who I was working direct, but also other women like Professor Majori Bilinyi, Professor Ruth Meena, Mary Lusimbi. You know, if you look at these strong women, you look at them and you wish like to become like them. You wish one day people to rely on you, people to feel that you can be of help to them, you can support them. So it's this kind. But also it gives me an exposure also to travel from the world because of the work that I'm doing. So there's a lot of benefit to learn a lot of things, a lot of theory, and to put them into practices. You know, you learn at the global, but also you put them into practices even at the local. So that is also an opportunity. I'm so happy that through this work, I have traveled a lot. I have traveled a lot, Europe, USA, Africa itself, discussing about issues of women's rights, discussing issues of gender equality, women empowerment, human rights. So it gives me that kind of opportunity also to learn, but also to grow. So these are the thing that I can say, these are my strengths. Okay. The knowledge that I have is much wider. The confidence that I have, it is unbearable. You know, I can say even sijui nisemaje kwa Kiingereza, lakini the way, the mindset, the attitude that I have today, I believe it wouldn't have been like this if I wouldn't get an opportunity to work with women's rights organization. There is a lot of opportunity in terms of learning, in terms of changing, because you change yourself also. There are so many issues, so many things that you are learning, so many theories that you are learning, and you have to reflect on yourself first, what it means to you, before even you translate to other people, what it means to you. When you're talking about gender equality, when you talk about feminism, when you talk about women's rights, what does it mean to you? Are you really that? Are you talking what you're doing, or you are just there for the sake of benefiting something? So there's a lot that I can say I have benefited with working with women's rights organization, working in the community of justice, rather than even if I would been working maybe in the frame, defending people's property and the other things. But I think here there's such a connection of maybe because of also the religious, the upbringing that I have, there's a lot of connection, the justice that you want to see, and the dignity and also the faith that I have. So if you combine all of them, I'm so comfortable within the community that I'm working with.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anna. I think if you go to the second part of it you have mentioned already, what drew you to your work you do. You have talked a lot about that. How did you first come to be involved in this area of work? How has this involvement changed over time? Has your work changed in any ways that have been shaped by experience from your own life that you mentioned? And have you experienced any personal changes as a result of your engagement in feminist academic work or activism that you have covered already? What kind of site or action have you primarily focused on, and why? Is there any focus that you have put on in terms of your work, and why is it so? Although you have mentioned if there's any additional thing that you want to tell us.
Yes, yes, they are. Yeah, what I can say, the first land, when I just landed to the organization, the focus for me was to provide legal aid services. So that's where I started. But through my journey within my organization, we worked to advocate for gender-based violence for quite long. And I can say I have a passion on issues of gender-based violence. Why? Because I've been working for that area for now more than 15 years. Now, when we started working with advocating for gender-based violence, by then, most of even the development partners were not ready even to support. Now I'm talking about when I started in 2002, 2003, most of even the development partners were more of supporting women's rights as it is, not issues of gender-based violence. However, we had to be persistent within the country and even outside the country. So I remember WiLDAF, because it's a pioneer of movement of 16 days of activism here in Tanzania. So through the 16 days of activism, by then we had a lot of testimony of women who have experienced wife battery, intimate partner violence, a lot of violence. And because of, due to that, we started having very specific interventions with local government leaders, with police officers, with health workers, because we believe these are the gatekeepers when it comes to GBV. And through the interventions that we had, and I remember by then I was a program officer, we came to realize there are a lot that need to be done. I'm happy for what the organization and my contribution towards advocating for GBV in the country, because I was the program manager leading those program of GBV by then, and working with the police health officers, we came to realize the challenges, the medical legal challenges that the country is facing. And I was the one even to pioneer for the executive director by then. We have to work with the police to change the PF3, police form number 3. And I remember she was saying that, Anna, do you know the police? These are not good people. But I said, no, we have to work with them. So we started engaging them. It was not an easy, but we started working with them. For me, it was a great opportunity because one of my classmates at the university was coming from the police. She was an adult. She came as an entry adult at the university, but we were in the same class. So when I started, that was my entry point. So I went, visited her, and then I told her about what we were doing and how we can work. By then, she was working at the college, Changombe Kurasini, they call Police Academy in Changombe for police of the senior year. So when I went there and we had a discussion, and then I said, I want you to meet my executive director. So I went again with my executive director, and then we said, why can't we teach your police on how to handle cases of GBV? So we started working with the police academy at the Kurasini to address issues of GBV. From there, I got connection with other policies who are working at the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now we started, one of the key areas is how can we work to review this PF3? And we worked with the police from stage to develop of that PF3 until we finalize it. So I'm so glad about that. But again, we came to realize, because there were no, by then, specific gender desk, we started, of course, lobbying for having this gender desk. So even if you look at the history of the police, that's why they gave us, as WiLDAF, those achievement certificate, appreciation certificate, because of working with them to establish the police gender and children desk. The pilot one, the initial desk were also the brainchild of WiLDAF and the police force itself. So working with the GBV, I came to realize we have a lot to do. And we work with the police, we work with the health workers, we work with the local government leaders, but later on we were working with the Ministry of Home Affairs, we were working with the Ministry of Health, we were working with the Ministry of Community Development Children, we were working with the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs, 4 ministries. And I came to realize, no, there are more than that. When you talk about GBV, is the issue of agriculture, is the issue of water, is the issue of industry, there's a lot. Then we started, one of the scenarios we invited the prime ministers. One reason why they asked us why we wanted the prime minister, because we said, we think GBV is a multi-sectoral issue. So the prime minister need to be at the center of these ministries to make sure that it is well coordinated. So we started also advocating for that. So even when the National Plan of Action, when it started, we were there cheering for, advocating for making sure that also the Prime Minister's office is there and other ministries as well. So we have been working for that for quite long. The cases of abuse of women, abuse of children, but later on, by then I was a program officer. When I was appointed as now the national coordinator, because here we are using national coordinator as an executive director, I decided that there is an angle that I think we haven't covered a lot, but it is quite very important. Because if you talk issues of GBV, you know, it is the issue of power relation, issue of stereotype, issue of resources. But again, if you talk about power relation, is the issue of leadership. So I came to realize that we need also to work on issues of leadership if we really want also the GBV to be eliminated. Because if the community's perception still see women as vulnerable and they are not fit to be leaders, the kind of violence in GBV will continue. So we have, if we want to change the mindset of people, we also have to make sure that, first of all, they see women as leaders. They see women as strong. They are capable of making decisions. They're capable of doing anything. Then it will be very easy for them also to respect women and to make sure that issue of GBV is also coming to an end. So is of recent, from 2018-19, I started having also passion with issues of leadership. So those are the kind of areas that I really focus now. Issues of GBV, but issues of leadership. I really believe that if we can make sure that women are becoming leaders, we'll also eliminate gender-based violence.
Thank you, Anna. Come to number 4, the relationship between feminism, scholarship, and activism. How do you perceive the relationship between scholarship and activism in general in your own work? How would you balance? Because I know you are a legal or you are advocate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yes.
You are an advocate.
Yes.
And you.
Yes, I'm an advocate.
And you're an activist.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So how do you?
I am an activist.
What is the relationship between? I'm saying, what is your relationship between being a lawyer now and an activist?
Okay.
Yeah. How do you see it?
Yeah.
And in your own work.
Okay. Wow. What can I say? What can I say about activists and feminists and lawyer? First of all, they're interconnected. For me, yes. Being most of the advocates, you know, by virtue of being an advocate, they are in one way or another, they are activists. To me, yeah. That's what I think. Why is like that? Because in the law, simply saying is we are learning to reasoning. People, they are saying that they are teaching us to argue, but no, I think they are teaching us to reason. The same apply to activism. The same apply to feminism. The only difference is when it goes to activism and feminism, now you go much deeper into justice. That's where I can see the difference. Much as the lawyer can reason and decide to do even to hell with justice, but that is not reality when it comes to feminism and activism. Okay. Because in the feminism, for me, is kind of, I don't like to see any kind of injustice among women, not only among women, even among men. Because sometimes people, they think that when you talk about women movement, it's all about women movement. No, it's not about that only. It's also about when you see there is no justice within the country, it affects me a lot. If you look at let me go very straightforward to maybe as you know, in the 5th regime, the civic space was very shrinking. If you talk about issues of banning, you know, if you ban NGO, or if you ban permission for NGO, you know, to provide civic and voter education, you're affecting every citizen. Yeah. But quite important, you're affecting women. And we cannot allow that. If you're talking about statistics, we have a Statistics Act, of which it prohibits to do some kind of research without having a permission. And sometimes they cannot give you a permission to do that. What does it mean to feminists or to activism? What does it mean to women? It is not fair. Because if you don't have statistics, where can you make your argument? Last year during COVID, I remember, I can give you one example. Okay. During the COVID, when it started, you know, I always watch BBC and CNN. And if you remember, the statistics and the data that were provided, it was scary. Yeah. And we were praying that this COVID will not come to our country. So we're looking at the statistics, the data, the number of people who are dying in America, in UK, and then it is a shocking one. So I remember we were looking at that. I was closely follow up every day to see what is going on in the world, and then hoping that it will never come here in Tanzania. So the moment when it, and by then, because we were at least a little bit luck because we have that time, so we started even developing the contingency plan, asking, that's now the importance that I'm telling of working with the women movement. We have that, you know, we connect with the international, community very easy. So kind of we are working with organizations like Landesa. Landesa is an international organization. And then we are asking maybe some of the colleagues, because they also have even here the chapter, do you have a contingency plan? And also other international organizations, can you share with us so that we know also what we can do if Corona will come to our country? So we started developing those kind of measure in case if the COVID will come in Tanzania. The moment when it came to Tanzania, when they announced the first person who died because of Corona, I remember it was a very big shock. And I told the office, we are going to close the office and we will work from home, even without even consulting my board. Because for me, my life and life of my staff, it was very important than anything. Because I remember even when I closed, so the moment they announced that, I said, no, we have to close everything, we're going to work from home. So we announced. And then the board saw that. The chairperson asked me, why did you decide that yourself without even involving us? I said, I'm sorry. This is a matter of life and death. I'm sorry if I did wrong, but for me, it was first of all to secure that we are safe. Then we did that Zoom for them. Now, of course, it was very tough for me to explain, but they agreed because we had already had that contingency. So I presented and then we agreed. Now, why I'm telling you that? Working from home, it was a very tough thing for us as Tanzania. We're not used to that. It is also even very difficult to supervise people. Sometimes you're calling your staff, they don't even pick up the phone. You agree that you have a meeting and sometimes some of them, they're telling us the internet is not working. What are you going to do? It's a kind of frustrating. Okay. Another thing which was very bad, I remember, we are providing legal aid. Now we are at home. How are we going to do the legal aid? And we received a lot of calls because children were at home, teachers were at home. There's a lot of violence which was happening. I had to make a tough decision for the department which is providing legal aid services. We have to discuss, how are we going to do? How can we save communities? And we decided to take some very critical cases. But for them, you know, because we had to learn issues like PPE by then, they have to make sure they have everything when they go to listen to these cases. And it was very bad because even when they reported to the police, by then, even the police, they didn't want people. That no, we don't, if people are fighting, it's up to them. We don't want people to come and infect us with corona here. So April, May, it was horrible. We were not used to working from home. Everything was very difficult. So I remember to convene organizations that are working around GBV as WiLDAF, because we are also leading GBV Coalition. And then I asked, we have to discuss, how are we going to rescue? How are we going to work within this environment while we know there's a lot of violence which is happening? And we were sharing the data that we have, cases of early marriages, because even my staff had to go and rescue a child of 16 years old who was about to get married during the corona, because someone called me and said they wanted to, because they know that the school is closed. So by the time when they open the school, this child will be in the boarding school. So the family decided they wanted her to get married here in Desa at Ilala Kipunguni. So I had to send my staff, please go rush to rescue. They were able to rescue her 1 hour after her marriage. But for me, that was the last resort that, no, we have to do something. It was bad because by then she got pregnant. So we said we had to do something. And if we were trying, by then to engage the government that as civil society organization, how can we assist? How can we support with this fight of corona? But because they didn't want to talk about COVID, the position of the government, the country is no corona in Tanzania, it was bad. And we decided now to develop a position statement. And we said, no, we have to do something. So we developed a position statement explaining what is happening. Incidences of early marriages, incidents of FGM, incidents of intimate partner violence. And we put some data that while there's a COVID and the government is concentrating on the part of health itself, but at the social services, there is an increase, there are likelihood, an increase of GBV. And we share those data. I tell you, I was summoned. I had to go to Dodoma to explain who gave me the permission to develop that position statement and to circulate. Where did I get the data? So I went to the Ministry of Health. They summoned me. I went there. I explained. They said, no, we are sending you to the National Bureau of Statistics. So I went to the National Bureau of Statistics and I met the director of National Bureau of Statistics. She was mad. She said, I only have 2 months before my retirement. Why you guys use civil society? What are you doing? Why do you want to give me trouble? I said, no, there's no trouble. This is the reality. This is what is happening. Who gave you the mandate to do that? Now you see this, now the relationship between the activism, feminism, and being an advocate. Because I know the Statistics Act, and I know it says, if it is administrative data, you're fine. Then that was my argument, that no, I didn't go to collect data. I didn't go to gather data. This is our coalition. We always have sharing, we have our meetings and we normally share our data for administrative purpose. Now, if it's for administrative purpose, why did you decide to share it with the public? I said I share it with the public because of the situation of what is happening. And because also the government, they are focusing only on the part of health. But on the part of social service, they are silent. That meeting took more than 5 hours. We were discussing 4 to 5 hours. And then the people from the Ministry of Health were there. They were saying, like, but no, that is our duty. I said, yes, I know it is our duty. And we had discussed about this. And the first authority that I shared this data was your ministry. And you acknowledge, and you said, WiLDAF, you're doing a great job. And then the director said, so you guys, you know each other? Yes. WiLDAF, you know The minister, you know this organization. Yes. So why do you bring it here? So for the people from the ministry, the staff of the ministry, they wanted me to get punishment, that WiLDAF should get punishment for disseminating data without getting the access from the National Bureau of Statistics. But I kept on saying, no, these are administrative data. We didn't go anywhere to collect data. But we thought it is quite important for the government to be aware of what is happening. Because if you don't act now, there is a danger that we are going to have more GBV cases. That was June last year. So the decision that what they decided, the staff from the National Bureau of Statistics, they said, now, if this is your partner, the Minister of Health, and you have acknowledged to know them, and if they're claiming these are their data for administrative purpose, now we are giving them the task, because on our part as government, we need to do something. But this data, they are not well to inform us to do any kind of decision, because as she said, it is an administrative data. Now, we are sending you back for the same kind of organizations that you have in your coalition. Go back now, collect the data of, because that was 2020. Eh? Now you collect the data of 2019 between March to June, the same like this one, 2018 and 2017. And we want to do the comparison to see whether the increase of GBV in 2020 is because of COVID. And they give us another warning. Go there, collect those data. However, you should not mention that us as the government, we have sent you to do that. And submit them to us. So we did that. We came back. We did. It was very tough, because by then some of the organization, they knew that we have been summoned. WiLDAF has been summoned by the ministry for the data. So some of them were now not ready to share the data, because they thought that they are going also to get some kind of punishment. So we told them that no, we are doing that because the National Bureau of Statistics have given us the permission to do that. So sometimes when you are stubborn, but if you stand in a right cause, you can get a very good result.
Yeah.
So there is you can see there is interconnection between activism, feminism, and that of advocate. Because it was luck for me, because I know the Statistics Act. What about those who doesn't understand the Statistics Act? Because that was my defense, to show them why was it important for us to share those kind of data. Because they were saying all issues in relation to COVID, it is only the Prime Minister who has the mandate to do that. Who gave you the permission to do that? I said, no, we were not sharing the data in relation to COVID. We were sharing the GBV data. Those were not COVID data, that how many people were infected, how many people were dying because of COVID. We were sharing what is happening because of COVID, that there is an increase, because now they're saying, no, but in Tanzania, we don't have a lockdown. I said, we have a partial lockdown because students are at home, they were sent to home. So that is a partial lockdown. And because they are home, there is a lot which is happening. Remember, there are some parents who they don't, normally they know their kids at school while they are doing also some small business. So when they are back in the evening, that's when the kids were also back. Now the kids are home, please take care of them. So there are so many which is happening. So there is that connection between activism, feminism, and also my professional, that is of advocate. But I can say that if you infringe the rights of not only women, but if you infringe the right of others, like the Media Act, if you are denying freedom of speech or freedom of information, for women is a double, because they are also going to get affected. If they don't get information, they don't get power, they don't know what to do. So if you talk about that kind of feminism or activism, we have to look on how we can make sure that when we are advocating, we look also things into a broader perspective. How does it affect women in a long run? Because they are saying data for maybe all the issues of we are not allowed, to do any kind of research without the permission. But that is going to affect women. That is going to affect everyone eventually. Yeah. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, you have, Anna. Thank you. I'm now going to number 5, the intersection of your work with the women's movement in this country and globally. You mentioned that you are connected to other women during COVID. That's why you were able to prepare and share your strategy on how to sort of mitigate the risk of working from home or working remotely. That is one of it that you have mentioned. What is your analysis or evaluation expectation of development of feminism in this country? What is your relationship with other women's organizations in this country, with other activists? And how do you think about your work in relation to women movement? Because you mentioned about working with GBV Coalition, that is part of it. And how do you relate with other women globally and within the country? If you have anything more to add into that.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now, Anna? Anneth?
Yes, yeah,
Hello?
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, the relationship between myself, my work within the organization and the international is huge. In terms of learning, first of all, in terms of learning and personal growth, in terms of experience, in technical support, in terms of financial support, yeah, in terms of exposure as well. Network is quite important, and having a number of friends, sisters, support across the globe. Now, if I start with learning, working with women's rights organization, it also provided for me opportunity to learn a lot. I went to US to study on issues of leadership once upon a time. It was, I think, 2009. I also went to Canada to study issues of leadership as well, 2010. It was a big course of issues of leadership, but also I went to US to study of issues of women's land rights. So just to mention some few, I went also to Sweden to study on issues of international human rights and humanitarian law. So the first thing I can say, the relationship is working with women's rights organization also, it provides that opportunity of learning from other developed countries, which is very beneficial to myself, very, very beneficial, because we are learning a lot of theory, a lot of approaches which really matters to our work. And it also builds that sense of growth, you know, as a person, because you need also to learn a lot for you to be able, you know, to do some kind of intervention that we have. So that is one. But also exposure. Exposure to other culture as well. Other culture, when I mean when you go to US or when you go to Europe, you learn how other culture, you learn how people do work. And it also built a lot of, you know, understanding of the world and how also you can fit in the world. So that is also quite important. Another thing is to understand, it gives you some kind, for me, it gives like some kind of, you know, hope and also trust that the cause that we are advocating for is not only in our country. We have also supporters across the world doing the same thing. So you understand that it is not that only in Tanzania that we are facing these kind of challenges. It is across the globe. And what is your role to do to make this world a better world for everyone? So it gives you some kind of hope and to understand that whatever we are doing, it is for a good cause. And we have also our friends, our supporters, our allies across the globe. But again, also it also adds the network. Yeah, we are working and to continue working, for instance, that one of Landesa, but also I keep on following causes and sometimes in Cody, because I went to Cody Institute in Canada, which is very good. They have got so many good things, so many good approaches and things to teach you and to transform. And that's where, when I went there, I really believe that where I am, what I'm doing is really right. So to have this kind of connection as well, you get a lot of connection. You meet a lot of people, high profile people to an ordinary citizens. And I learned a lot. So I can see that kind of connection within my work, but also the movement that I have. We have also movement on women's land right between us, Africa, Asia, and even the US. Now you see this kind of movement. We are also fighting for the same cause of ensuring that women do access land rights. But also sometimes I get an opportunity because also WiLDAF is a networking organization. So we normally have also this kind of meeting and advocacy interventions across connection and interlinkage between here, our movement within the country, within the region, and even at the international level. Now, WiLDAF, I can say WiLDAF as a women rights organization also, and after being an executive director, one of the things that I found as a challenge was also issue of leadership. And when I just received the organization, we have a very limited financial resources to run the organization. So I was running here and there looking for support. And I was also asking some other women organizations from other women from other women organizations, what do they do, how do they access funds? And I came to realize it is a challenge for most of women organizations. Issue of resource mobilization, issue of leadership, but also issues of fundraising. And I decided to also discuss with some of women organization and women organization, and we agree that we are facing a lot of challenges which are similar as women's leaders. And from there, we decided also to establish a network of women leaders, which we call it CSO Women Directors Forum, whereby we come together, and that forum is for only women directors. As long as you are a woman and you are a director of an NGO, we have that, we meet in that forum, so that we were able to discuss issues of leadership, issues of resource mobilization, issues of fundraising, sharing information, learning challenges that we are experiencing, and how we can also support each other. But again, also, as WiLDAF, we are also a part of different movements which are also happening within the country. Also, the movement of Wanawake, Katiba na Uongozi, but again, other movements which are also across the country. We are also part of TASEO. TASEO is a coalition of civil society, which they are providing civic and voter education. We are also, for us, we are leading GFP coalition, a coalition of more than 100 organizations working to address GBV. So we have this kind of movement, different movement, which also gives strength among us to have kind of a common ground when we are advocating for women's rights, gender equality, and women empowerment. But again, also, I'm also in a network which is called AWLIN, African Women Leaders Network, a network of UN women also, whereby we meet a lot of women from diversity. Yeah. So my work also has given me a privilege of meeting higher people, like Pumzile, the UN people, different UN people, So it's also a privilege, to have access to meet this kind of people, and sometimes discuss, so share with your thoughts. I remember even Pumzile, when she came this year, the UN women convened a meeting, and I was given a task to talk about issues of leadership. And because now I have a passion of leadership. So I shared with her the challenges for women to become leaders here in Tanzania and the data. And I also asked her, when you're going to the president, tell her that we counted on her and we wanted to see women being appointed in various positions. I know so many people are doing that, so many organizations are doing that, but I was so happy after that meeting with Pumzile, on behalf of women's movement here in Tanzania, being, appointed to talk on behalf of women rights organization on the aspect of leadership. You're talking to someone of higher, from the UN, and then she's going to talk to the president about that issue of leadership. And then you see what is happening. You feel so happy that my contribution is worth it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anna. So now to wind up, connection to international forms of activism and scholarship. You have mentioned that, but just in case you missed out something, do you have any connection with other activists, scholars, organizations in other countries? How did this connection come about? What have they meant for your own work? And how do you make sense of differences and similarities in kinds of issues raised or approaches taken by these activists, scholars, or organizations? Most of these issues I know you have mentioned. Just in case there's something that you want to add into it, you're welcome to do so. Karibu.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, asante. As I've mentioned, yes, I have connection, but I need more. I need more. I need more connection, especially for scholars from the US itself, but also from even Europe. I really need, because the advantage of having them is you get direct support, technical support on how, the theory, what is working and how you can apply. So I need more than that. I have connection, but not that much. Yeah, I have connection with few organizations that I have mentioned, but I need more connection, I think. But I also have connection with some people in Africa, like in Uganda, because we also work with the Raising Voices in Uganda, the GBV prevention. So we have connection with them. But I also have connection with someone called Jen Kiragu, who was working, I think, with Femnet in Kenya, who was once working. Now, I think she's is a consultant. But I think I need more connection. I need more connection because I really need to be a very strong woman with a lot of knowledge. Also to impart to young women who are coming. Because if you look now, after the 25 years after Beijing, most of the women are very old. And if you, after their generation, I think it's our generation. And we have a big role there to play. We have a big role. Sometimes if I look at myself, I'm wondering whether we'll be able to be strong and do enough as the way they are doing. But I think we need this kind of connection so that to be able also to add knowledge, but also to have this kind of support from different strong women across the globe to be able to move issue of women movement. Okay. Because sometimes also I get worried. Now there are so many issues. You know, the issue of youth now is coming very strong. If you look at the issue of youth, which is coming very strong, we have to know that still women's issues, for me, to what I see, as long as still we have discrimination, we have gender-based violence, we have still type of attack, we really need to work on issues of women movement. And if we're not careful enough, because of technology, because of issues of climate change, because of other issues, issues of women might now look like is not that much a priority. So we need a lot of this kind of connection to come together and having concrete rationale of why it is quite important still to push further for women movement. Because there are so many things which is happening. If you look at the climatic change, if you look, it's still very limited. Now, you know, sometimes I think sometimes, you know, as human beings, people are getting bored or tired of something. So we have to make sure that every day, women movement keep on, you know, doing a lot of research, and that's why we need a lot of scholars on women movement to keep on highlighting women issues, agenda issues, intersectionality, so that to be able, you know, to push forward for gender equality and women empowerment. We need a lot of this kind of, you know, to build a lot of movement across, between women from the south and to the north. We need, and I think we are missing something. We are missing out, like maybe the way our mothers, when they went to Beijing and those kind of things. Something is missing now. I don't know what, but I feel like we are missing something. We need a lot of this kind of having this global agenda about women and how we can keep on pushing. As long as we have still a lot of challenge for women, we still have to make sure we are pushing for women's rights, for gender equality, for women empowerment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your time. I know you're very busy, but I'm so honored to really being able to secure 1 good hour of your time into this interview. Thank you again.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Anna.
Karibu, Anneth.